view, but we also enrich this view with considerably more information than just available in login history. We bring some information from a session information and some users as well. So I whipped this dashboard out a few days ago for the login statistics. You can see logins by user, logins by client type, but more interestingly, right here, logins by authentication factors. The recent events with various Snowflake leaked credentials and then data exfiltration are really reminding everybody that it's really important to run Snowflake with a two-factor authentication. So this view right here in the bottom right is probably one of the more interesting ones. The row 3, which I've just highlighted, is the people who have password authentication but no second authentication factor configured. We're going to ignore the RSA key pairs. Those are service accounts. We're going to ignore the SAML assertions and OAuth. Those are all protected by two-factor. But the stuff here, within my last few days, I do have 364 logins that were done using just password. If I wanted to find out who they are, I scroll a little lower and I see the password and no MFA users over time. We got one of our engineers here, Justin. We got another one, the Austin is showing up right here, and there's a gentleman called Pitt. All of those could be, we can go and permutate and find out what's going on. We can see what types of drivers they used right here. So Justin is developing something inside of Streamlit and Python drivers. Our colleague Pitt, okay, where'd he go? I don't know why Pitt. Oh, Pitt is using Snowflake UI. So you can, if you were to interrogate this kind of table, you can go and talk to those engineers and maybe enforce the MFA mandatory, or at least find out the reasons why they're doing it. We got a nice little geo map enrichment right here. Snowflake can't really do this natively, but we can. We have ability to get the information about the client IP and geocode it right here. So you can see people in Zurich are using our system, people in North America are using the system, etc. Very fun stuff. We strongly recommend that you turn on your double multi-factor authentication on your logins. But if you're not, pay attention to who has it and what they're doing right here. So, speaking of various interesting things, so let's say I would like to monitor a data exfiltration. So if I were to, just one second, let me bring that from the other screen, the dialog that I have. I have configured a storage account on Azure. We don't really use from engineering, we don't usually use anything from inside of the Azure, but I've created a storage account in which I've created a blob endpoint into which I intend to unload the data. Now, I've done it with a full control and awareness that I'm going to be doing it, but a lot of the recent Snowflake data leaks were really done through this. There's only one way of getting the data out of Snowflake, and it is big dump to an external storage. So inside of here, I've created, if I go maximize this, I've created, let's see, where my external stage right here. I've created a stage and I've made sure that it's configured properly to dump as an external stage. And then I've unloaded, I'm able to select some data from a table right here and unload it to that specific stage. I'm just going to really quickly run that over. 1 and 2. That data is now unloaded. I've unloaded 45 rows from each one of those things. It's not a tremendous amount of data, but conceptually, I want to be aware when those things are happening. So as I switch back to observability for Snowflake and observe, we have a data export awareness dashboard right here that shows every unload operation, number of records were involved in here in the top left. You can see that's me unloading to one or second endpoint. You can see it visually. You can see when people are listing the files, and you can even see in the bottom right widget the times when integrations are created. You can't unload anything to an external stage unless it's been created. And creation of a brand new external stage is typically a rare operation, and you want to be aware of what's going on of when that happens. So as you are able, you can within the observe, you can absolutely trigger on that particular event arrival. And in this case, we are actually modifying stages quite a bit. We're only rarely creating additional storage integrations to which the stages are hooked up to. So earlier I loaded some data already, and I have a monitor that I've set up, which is called Snowflake copy into external stage activity. I basically trigger on the presence of the queries that do a significant amount of unloading, although for me, significant amount of unloading is greater than one row. You could perhaps trigger on something larger. But you can see I've triggered in the last few days 1, 2, 3 times right here. And the result of this particular trigger, I've configured an email. So let me just kind of expose this out. This is out of my Gmail. I got a little notification that says, hey, somebody unloaded 90 rows. I've done it twice. 45 plus 45 equal 90. So it tells you what's going on and it directs you right back to the dashboard that you can integrate. I think any customer that uses Snowflake in external stages and is concerned about authentication security and data exfiltration, especially in the light of recent events, should have something like this in their place. And you can absolutely use Observe to do this.